Folks, I just thought I'd give you a quick update on what's been happening with Gore Street Energy. Earlier in the week, they just announced that basically the tax credits have kind of been sold for the Big Rock place. So because that money's coming in, they've kind of half confirmed that the 3p special dividend to make the total for the year 7p. Basically, that's going to come through later in the year in 3 instalments, or in 2 instalments, I think. Anyway, that's not the bit that matters. But anyway, yeah. So yeah, so that was a few days ago, the 14th, and then today they've released their final results, which is here. I mean, most of this information is kind of known to the markets already. Like, for instance, we already knew the new NAV for the 31st of March 2025. We already knew it was 102.8, so we kind of already knew we knew the upshot of the results. But yeah, they go into more details here, and they've kind of confirmed that they've already declared 4p for the year. It went ex-dividend today, by the way, and then the additional 3p is kind of been confirmed a few days ago because the tax credits came through, but it'll get paid in tranches later in the year. And then the other thing they've mentioned of note is that they've kind of announced that going forward it's going to be a quarterly dividend of 0.75p. I guess that's for the next accounting year, because this special they're talking about is for this year, and then going forward it's going to be 0.75p per year. Now that you'll see here, this is from a recording I made earlier on today. This is what we're getting paid this year: 1p, 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 4p. And then I've accounted in my spreadsheet, like my pessimistic overlay, I keep calling it. I've multiplied it by 0.53 as like my worst case scenario. So as you can see, my worst case scenario has been beaten, because 0.75 multiplied by 4 is 3p per. I'm waiting for my mouse to move out of the way. Nope, it's not going to move, is it? Yeah, there we go. It's 3p, and as you can see there, I had penciled in 3.7p. So yeah, it's a pretty low dividend. So that is why I think the market absolutely tanked this morning. It went at this point there. It was down by about 11%. Gore Street Energy was. But the moment I decided to do, because it went down so much, I actually made this decision when it was at about 58p here. I thought, oh, it's gone down 8%. I've already been monitoring the differential in the discount between Gresham House and Gore Street Energy, and thinking to myself that that differential is getting a bit big. And then when I saw it 8% down, I decided I was going to sell Gresham House, and I was going to put all the money into Gore Street Energy. And by the time I'd logged into the broker, which was AJ Bell, because this is in my license on AJ Bell, Gresham House was. By the time I'd logged in, it was down by 11% here. But obviously, everything took. I couldn't get it sold quick enough, because by the time I got back in, I got exactly 58p when I purchased Gore Street Energy. So yeah, I got about exactly what the market was showing when I decided to make the switch is what I got, but I missed out obviously on picking this exact moment right down there. So basically I've now got this humongous position that looks out of place with all of the others, and I'm a little bit panicked about it. I mean, it's still the same amount in battery storage. It's just that I've put all my eggs into one battery storage basket now at 13 grand, so it's a bit scary. So we'll have to wait and see what's happening. It's a bit, I don't know. It was another. You'll notice a theme recently when I've reported my moves to you. I've said things like, this was out of the blue. I had no plans on making this change. I had thought a little bit about this one, to be honest, but not much. And it was very kind of a rush of blood to the head that caused this. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not going to wait for a major catalyst before I go back into Gresham House. I'm thinking to myself, if like the move today gets reversed and this differential goes back to what it was before today, I might even just go straight back to Gresham House. This could like, for instance, if tomorrow it goes back to, well, what was it earlier today? Gore Street Energy. Even if it went back to what it was yesterday, I might just reverse this move completely. I mean, that would still be a pretty good day's work, but yeah, I mean, a lot of this price is because it's ex-dividend today as well, so it's not all dropping on the final results and the dividend announcement. Yeah, so if it went up by 4.1p tomorrow, or maybe even less than that because of the ex-dividend business, because I guess 3.1p would be getting back to where we were the day before, wouldn't it? So yeah, even if it just went up by what it went down by today, maybe I'd just reverse it straight away. Just have a little bit of a dalliance in and out of the stock, swapping back and forth. Yeah, so there's my move. I'm a little bit shocked that I've done it, to be honest. And I guess this, no, it should be about right. I was just wondering why their discount is calculated differently to mine. 38%, Gore Street Energy, and I've got 41%. 102.8. See, they've got a higher estimated NAV. So why is their premium? I think this must be based on yesterday's price. I don't think that gets updated intraday, because I've got 42% and I've got a lower NAV, because I'm assuming their estimated NAV kind of factors in like the fact that it's been a while since March, so the company has had like cash flow coming in. I don't know how they estimate it, whether they do some sort of rough guess at how much cash might have been brought in by the company. But by that theory, today it should go down by 1p, because 1p of that is no longer yours if you bought it today. So yeah, I'm not sure what Hargreaves Lansdown does here with their NAVs, because as we just saw, the NAV's just been announced in the final results as 102.8 pence. But they've got 10. Right, so it seems like they've accounted for the ex-dividendness of it there, because they've taken 1p off because it's ex-dividend today. But then they've added back in, they've probably added back in some sort of estimate of the cash flow coming in since the 31st of March. I'm guessing, but I have no idea how they would guess that. I mean, it is estimated. What does it say? Yeah, it's just God knows how they estimate it. Anyway, there we go. So there's the move I've just made, and I mean, we can tell by the chart here that it's been a good move, because if we go good move so far. Because I was just thinking, the only thing that could possibly have got people to sell is the dividend disappointment, and to me that doesn't matter. This is more of a speculative investment, really. We're up 3.97% since the move, and I think I sold Gresham House at something like this. I can't remember exactly. Not far off this amount here, 79. Yeah, so that's pretty good. So what I've done is, obviously that 3p's a disappointment, but I've put it in there in my spreadsheet, and I've kind of fudged it, because obviously the Gresham House I sold had a 0 yield, so I've kept it as a 0 yield by subtracting it there. These are the shares I bought in Gore Street today, 11235, and then to make up for the lower dividend than I expected, I've fudged it again, and I've added back in 1450 to make it roughly the same amount in pounds as I had earlier today in the spreadsheet. You can see there it was 22641 before I made the change to the spreadsheet. So yeah, I've kind of fudged it that way as well. I fudged it back up. So yeah, I've done a bit of redistributing, if you like, from a zero yielder to a slightly high to a high yielder with 1450 of the shares, but not all of them. You can see now the new yield of Gresham House with that 3p is, sorry, not Gresham House, Gore Street is now 5% yield. Yeah, that's it. But anyway, yeah, this dividend, this you could see this as kind of a low base because they say here they're basically they're letting the performance dictate the dividend. And from what I gather from watching the presentation this morning, they could modify it on a quarter to quarter basis. So that 0.75p for the first quarter is just the starting point. And if they have a good quarter, the next quarter's dividend might be higher. It's literally just, I think, we're going to let the cash flows or the performance of the assets month to month, quarter to quarter, dictate the dividend. Because the lady who kind of covered that section of the presentation and the questions afterwards, she said, this. She showed a chart of, if the energy prices do this and we end up getting a cash flow of this amount, this is probably what would end up paying in the dividend. And she said, this is quarter one, but if things improve in quarter two, the dividend could go higher. And by implication, though, they could go lower as well if things get worse. So yeah, it's similar to what the mining companies do. If we look up Rio Tinto, for instance, I think it's going to be a similar dividend policy to what they do, and I think a lot of the other miners do a similar thing. I seem to remember looking at their dividend cover. If we go to the dividend section for Rio Tinto, which is a miner, dividend cover. Yeah, I remembered it correctly. See how consistent that dividend cover is? It's consistent because they're choosing the dividend based on the earnings that year. And that's also why the dividends fluctuate a lot. Do they fluctuate? Yeah, they have. They've gone from 5.57 to 10.4 to 4.92. See that they have no interest in making it a steadily rising dividend. They're just literally doing it based on that current year's earnings, and that's why the dividend cover is so consistent. That's not what you normally get for companies, especially if they have a progressive dividend policy that gradually goes higher and higher. Yeah, so so this is to me, this is kind of a low base, and it's still a nice 5%. So anyway, there's my little update. I wanted to talk about it while it was fresh on my mind, because it's going to be a while before a new video, isn't it? A new proper update, if you like. So I'd have forgotten about it. I'm going to upload it now anyway. And yeah, that's it, I guess. So I'll see you next time. Bye bye.